Hi, this is Stefan Molyneux. I encourage you to ban the wheels off liberty. It's for the children.
It might have been 2 hours.
I was seeing it. I was going to say, my gosh, that's an accomplishment. Well, all right. Well, we call this like an addendum to the special Porcfest. Yeah, postscript. Thank you, sir. The postscript, the No Snake Project here at Porcfest. And so what we talked about before was all the problems to really understand why government is wrong and how irrational it is. And we want to discuss for a bit why a voluntary society is better than the involuntary society we have now. So, Steph, since we missed you before, let's start with Larken. We're going to give Steph a break. Steph just did an interview, so we're going to give Steph a little break. Larken, I know you haven't spoken enough today.
Well, when it comes to voluntary versus state, first of all, as we all know, statism is coercion. The advantage that statism has is that one guy at the top can say, here's my master plan, you're all going to do it or I'm going to stomp on you. So to the average viewer, it sounds like, well, at least I know the plan. And when we say, let's have a voluntary system, and they say, how will everything work? We have to honestly say, I don't know. I can give suggestions, I can give predictions, I have lots of ideas, but I guarantee whatever ideas I come up with, they're going to stink compared to what somebody else comes up with. And that's when you have to point to the real world and history and examples of how, compare government food production. Soviet Union worked marvelously for the 10 million people who died. U.S. food production, where the government, well, they get in the way and their tentacles trip people up, but for the most part, it's free market.
Well, yeah, the degree of aggression here is not like it is in Russia.
Right. So the government gets in the way, but it doesn't force people to make food. And look at the results. So I think what we really have to do is point to results and say, I don't know what the whole plan is going to be because there isn't going to be a centrally, forcibly imposed plan. There's going to be freedom. Now just look at the track record. Which does better at absolutely everything? A centralized, authoritarian, enforced plan, or letting people be free. And it's whether you're talking about food production or defense or anything. Instead of asking, how will everything work, which everyone is so eager to learn because they're so used to hearing master plans spelled out by politicians. Say, I don't know how it's going to work, because if I did, I should be emperor. And if you look at the track record of how freedom works, it is way beyond anything I could come up with or any of you could come up with. It takes all those people all saying, I think I know a way to do this little piece of it better. And altogether, the result is amazingly productive.
Yeah, and what's incredible, and you and I have gone through this on my show, and then dozens of times about you have to have the answer, you don't have to know it all. What's incredible when you look at it, though, is ask the average person to explain how a road gets built, the process. So they can't explain that either.
Right.
So
No, you pay taxes, you get potholes. That's the sequence as far as I know.
well, it's not all Brooklyn. But so I want you to expand on that, okay? And because we've gone through the whole thing about so many times where people want to know detail by detail by detail.
They don't want to know. They don't want that. They just want to not have to deal with the question, right? So
Bingo.
let's say that we're abolitionists in the 19th century. We want to get rid of slavery. And then people say, well, there are, 3 million slaves. And then they start on the list. So I got all 3 million names here. Okay, so here's, his name is because he's the alphabetical representative. So here's well, if you get rid of slavery, what job is he going to get? And you'd be like, I don't know, he's good at pulling teeth, he could be a dentist, right? Okay, here's, but what job is he going to get? And you're supposed to go through this list of 3 million people and say, well, where are all these slaves going to get jobs? Well, people don't do that because they really care about the slaves, because if they cared about the slaves, they'd say, hey, let's not have them be slaves. What they do is they just want to stop the conversation and say, well, if I throw enough junk at you that you can't answer, I then get to not have to think about this at all. right? So this idea, well, who built the roads? Come on, who cares about the roads? Come on, I mean, this is ridiculous, right? I can't be free, and I'm going to give up half of my income and risk being one of the 1 in 10 people in the U.S. tangled up in the injustice system. Why? Because I'm afraid that roads might be a little slower. I mean, this is ridiculous. They just want to stall the conversation. You know what it is? This what's going to be done is just like a little tranquilizer dart. They shoot at your leg, hoping that you go, I don't know how to probe. And it's like, hey, he's slurring himself. We don't have to answer that question.
Excellent. Alex, what do you think?
What do I think?
How is a voluntary society better than what we have now?
Well, I think it's in the name itself. I mean, a voluntary society is a much more moral society because of the fact that it's operated on the basis of free choice rather than compulsion, coercion,
people
and
get
violence.
to vote now. People get to come on the show where we get to complain, and people will go, well, you're all free now. You get to complain. You wouldn't be able to complain like this in Russia or China.
No, that's very true. But we have to understand that I'm not going to just look at one segment of it and say, well, okay, yes, I still have relative freedom of speech, but that, it's okay that half of my earnings are being confiscated by government. Just to cite one example, what I think it really boils down to is what these guys were alluding to earlier is the fact that only a dictator is going to be able to say, I have all the solutions, and only this one entity can provide the solutions. What's already taking place in society, but it's being stagnated by government, are many different people doing many different things and finding solutions to many different problems. If that were not so, at least to some degree, all of civilization would collapse. All that government is doing is stagnating that natural process.
Yeah,
and that's what we have to understand.
Every advance in mankind has been despite.
Yes, not because of government.
What boggles my mind, because I'm not a tech guy, well, how fast would technology have progressed if it wasn't for government and the church?
Oh, I think Doug Casey, sometime back in the late 70s, was a fellow who said, it staggers the imagination, the progress that the human race could have made had there been no government at all. And it's absolutely true.
Yeah. So, Jim,
I can think of two reasons why it would be better. One, and I think this is paramount, each individual in that voluntary society will be making decisions about his own future and what is good for him. Now, he may be wrong, as I would see it. He could make choices which I think are not sensible, but damn it, they're his choices. That is why it is better. He always makes his own choices. He always lives with them. He always gets the benefit from them. Or, if it doesn't work out, he learns a lesson from them and does better next time. It is 100% his life and his achievement. You aggregate and add up all those 100% achievements and successes over the whole society, you've got something close to a perfect society. There's no way that a third party can come in and do better than that by telling him what to do with his own life. It is bound to be better, and being better is a subjective, yes, I think it's a subjective evaluation. He may not earn as many answers of gold, or as I would prefer to say,